Another terrible evening for the hostage diaries. Massive insomnia. Not allowed to sleep. Kept awake. I think it goes back to these almighty God brothers of mine that are really just kidnapper terrorists. I went to a rave one night in Lafayette or someplace. Back in my wilder, I was working on a persona, my artistic enlightenment phase, independent study. Because I've never been able to, like, what I should have been able to do was go to university and get some help and figure a plan or something like that. But no, this is always Dungeons and Dragons dreamland, Freddy Krueger. So yeah, I was in my independent study phase, and it was a pledge brother of mine was getting married, who was from my hometown. So there was this rave in somewhere in Lafayette in that vicinity, in Southwest Louisiana, one of these big clubs. So me and a friend of mine, I don't know where else went, and ended up staying late. Yeah, all night, really late. So the ended up going back to Baton Rouge the next morning. I remember that, and then picking up my other friend and going to this wedding. That was really bizarre. Kind of one of those perpetual insomnia states. Zombie-esque. So, I'm wondering, since the bonds of matrimony, and this was actually in my hometown. I was staying at my grandmother's house, and I was really a time out there. I was doing some strange discovery phases, trying to figure out. Well, I had to make up for lost time. Most people, because I had played many different characters. This all deals with my tonight's speech is because of Art Basel in Miami, the Alpha Betas, um, Triland Panty Raiders, Victoria's Secrets Revenge. That's the theme. So yeah, I go to this wedding, and I vaguely remember it. I was hungover and still in this perpetual zombie phase. And I had been partying a good bit. This was like when I had just been first time prescribed Dexedrine and was writing a lot. I was trying to start Acme Music Company with no help at all. I had a lot of bands, but nobody wanted to help me. It was really bizarre. I was always surrounded by the most incompetent people. Constant. I mean, never had any real, and that's on purpose, obviously. I was never supposed to succeed. Otherwise, I was never given real talent. I guess well, they tried to set me up to a degree, but I think I made a lot of mistakes. I admit it, but I was set up to make mistakes. Um, really, that's how this gene mutation works. And this is what I actually think happened to my entire family. When they took me from this alpha level and then lowered me down to the omega level, they had to brainwash us. And it took a lot of years. And it took a lot, you learn certain, I can see it when I look back at how I was brainwashed. I was terrible, my self-esteem was terrible. I had friends sort of, kind of in that, but never anyone that was really, I don't know, it was one of those bizarre things. So, I was working on my independent study of discovery, the HS, the Hunter S. Thompson, or the beatniks, the grunge phase, and all this. And I had always been a listener or part, but I was always involved, never to the extent. So I was trying to understand it. I was reading voraciously, and I was reading a lot, and writing a lot, learning to write, which took a lot of time in my grind, because I had a lot of bad habits, and I never had any really help people to come in and say, look, this is what you need to work. Never. It's always been Lone Star, hand solo sort of mentality. Figure it out. We'll show you some signs. You got to learn to read the signs. For a lesson that would take 30 minutes, we're going to waste 6 months of your life until you learn to read the signs. That's how the Jedi mind tricks sort of mentality, which is it's going to be remembered as one of the dumbest things in the history of the world. And it's still going on. These fucking crazies are still allowed to drive. I mean, they still want read the signs, you know. I mean, I'm not allowed counsel or secretaries or, I can't hire lawyers to give me advice, right? You know, it's really, really criminal, first of all. Obviously, it's sabotage. Without a doubt. I guess it goes back to, here's the Louis Vuitton Man of Adventure watch. And so, yeah, it's this brainwashing. So they had to brainwash me. Worst way possible, figure out the signs, you know, I guess. That's the only thing. So I was set up to be stupid. And I was set up to be tricked. Honestly, over and over and over and over. And I missed a lot of traps. I mean, I was surrounded by landmine traps my entire life. And I mean, literally, my entire life was landmine traps. And that was basically it. I was running through a minefield being shot at my entire life. That was all I was. And they hit me some. I don't know how bad or to the extent. I'm sure I got shot a bunch of times, and I don't even know it. That sort of thing. That, you know. So the question is alleviating. Well, okay, I got to go back to. Oh yeah. So insomnia. So I have yet to be able to go to sleep, and I honestly think this was a Pledge Brothers wedding now to a girl, and he was above me. They were all above me. And I was with a guy that was in my Pledge class also, and so I honestly think this is probably one of those wacky, and I got the. Some of my new cheap acquisitions here. I figured this might help. I know it's probably not. It's interesting. Heaven and Hell and the Doors of Perception dealing with mescaline, but there was something about he was analyzing how the symptoms of being on mescaline were similar to that of schizophrenia, and often could be misdiagnosed. And this deals with the genetic hacking, heaven and hell. But heaven being the alpha, hell being the omega. Obviously, I was stuck only seeing, I got a very, very thin view of it. And so then, therefore, it seems this deviated perception from the genetic hack, this matrix virtual reality, many levels of this phantasmagoria going on. And so obviously I was stuck to where the symptoms, I was tortured so the symptoms could be skewed as that. But I started riding the waves of paranoia using it as far as trying to. But it's gone on for so many years, it's just driven me back. And then being alone for so many years, I have no balance at all. Most normal people have balance. I guess it's Sid from Lords of Dogtown, Lod Cook, fall over all the time. Equilibrium balance, and it ends up being, it finally is going to end up killing me being cancer, but it was really, I got knocked down a bunch of times until they killed me, and they're going to call it cancer, but I was fucking knocked down so many times, because it's just like a repetitive, it's timber, liquid assets, liquefied natural gas, Napoleon Dynamite, Dudley Moore, Nordica Beef's 10 Revenge, Naples. So yeah, I get chopped and chopped and chopped until I get fucking fall, that sort of thing. And as you can tell, my language gets exacerbated to be profane because I have no balance mechanism. I am on, it's this avalanche. There was a restaurant on Crested View, bar restaurant I used to go to, the Avalanche. And that's what happens. Is I have trouble because I have no balance mechanism. I fall this kind of go agitation over this um, infantile methodology. Well, I know how stupid this is, but what the fuck? I mean, it's already got 120 videos on there. I mean, I'm probably dead, without a doubt. I will be murdered, or I will be something. I don't know. Or I won't ever escape, or they're trying to murder me, still trying to murder me by suicide. Still. That's the name of the game. That's numero uno easy. You know, they'll get a body and they'll bury it, and then try to, and so far, I mean, I'm pushing it. I feel bad for forcing the issues. I have no choice. I mean, it's not just me. There's a lot going on. And I'm just representing an entity. I attached myself because I have the Excalibur rights of BLM, St. Bart's. One of the reasons I was brainwashed so small, and so they could deny, like Rainmaker Donnie, until I'm dead. Oh, at Rainmaker Donnie, they called her stupid while they were denying her the John Grisham, the Mitch McNear, the Clients, or Pelican Brief, which was really all about Darby Shaw. She even lived on Bolac Drive. I remember seeing the front of the Pelican Brief, Bolac Drive. Yeah. And I don't mean to, I'm just trying to prove, I hate the fact that I am so egotistical, but I want to escape. I'm really not that bad, actually, but I need to escape. I have insomnia, I haven't slept in decades. This is not sleep. This is a survival mechanism. Um, they're trying to brainwash me to think, to be like something else. They're hiding me by shrinking me, whereas I don't fit into these. I don't fit in it. You know, I've got to build a house. You know, I'm a lord, as you would say, but I'm not allowed in the house. I got to play out with the animals and livestock and fit in. Be one of the survival of the fittest cockfights with Michael Vick gets jailed for fighting a dog, but we're like little hamsters. We matter less than dog fighting. They get paid. Woo! That's how smart they are. So yeah, the insomnia, because I can't afford to actually build a house and go and sleep. It's actually REM dream sleep. So I am suffering from insomnia, which could be still this brother wedding. You know, those bonds might have been permanent marks. Permanent marks have got to haunt me because they hate me so bad. And they hate my name, obviously, BLM, because that's validity. And anything valid is an infectious disease threat to the kidnapper fraud. So they got to discredit, rebuttal everything. They get their chance to beat the shit out of me, to fairway it up. You know, as far as anything good, they got to beat me down. Fairway, rebuttal. That's fair handicap in there. So Art Basel in Miami. I'm missing out on my birthday next week when they're airing the Victoria's Secret Angels. So yeah, Art Basel, AB, like the Alpha Betas from Revenge of the Nerds. I think they're playing both sides here. They've got both sides. It's like trading places. But they cut me out. I'm paying, and they're trying to screw me, so they could. It's just because nobody stood up from the bank that I'm representing. I'm getting out. I'm actually being stopped. That's probably why I am kidnapped here. I don't know how it's been asked. I got no help for all those years. I don't know if I'd have been more vocal, that it might have changed some. I'm not sure. But I got zero help. And even the 6 or 7 months I was there, totally, you know, it was kind of one of those things that I knew it was probably a setup. I was probably a smart bomb in there to blow up the whole fucking mountain. And good or bad, I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. Yeah, I probably was. I was probably one of those missile smart bombs. Kevin Harvick missiles. That justifies me escaping. Now they got to beat me like a runaway slave. Worse. Teach me I'm a loyal slave. My loyal slave lessons. Brainwashing. Scar me. So MIA Miami. MarLIns, JeffLoria. And that's the crazy part about it. They got played. I feel bad. The Jews are small, but they could have been big, but we got hijacked. It's my fault partially. No, it's a lot. They're going to blame it on me. See, they're always, anything that the mob is doing, they're trying to set it up so where people will hate me and blame me. The boogeyman syndrome. As empathetic to when they were screwing me, they got scared from all the warnings. And they decided to be brave daredevils, jump the branch. So, yeah, they decided they were going to be brave and challenge it. Rather than building a bridge, being smart, engineering types, Vanderbilt frauds. That's why they use Vanderbilt as justification. It's really a gang deliverance gangbang for a bunch of Jedi mind trick hillbilly shooting that trick rabbit for some sugar bowl cereal. Lucky Charms. Battle Creek General Mills. Battle Creek is also right there by Kalamazoo, where John's was formed, where Xanax. Xanax is I am Xanax. Any anxiety that anybody, I'm not allowed to take it. I probably use the anti-anxiety. I'd love a Xanax. Calm me down some. But I gotta be beaten. That's the same as the whipping post Xanax. Or Rogaine. I get scalped. They implant my hair, or the Viagra, castrated. So then if somebody else gets that's a doctor created hard on, so that means it's super big, magnum PI. I wish this was a joke. If it is, hey, buddy, stand up routine. No, not a joke. So Miami Art Basel for my birthday. Everybody seems to be there except me. You got Scad there with Andre 3000, Outcast, and then you got the Paulas, Paula Crown and Paula Wallace. Paula Crown from Aspen, Paula Wallace from Scad, which I have no problem with. We probably get along great, but I'm not allowed to. Exactly. That's out of my league. I might escape kidnapped. So they're used as puppet dolls to try to. So JeffLoria being was December 9th, 1999, purple rain, he buys the MarLIns. 24% stake, which then, because of some debt or some default, which is very, very prevalent in this loan shark stalker kidnap bubble, well, he gets 95% of the team expos. Then he decides to sell. He got in a deal with John Henry of the Boston Red Sox, and I can't remember who. He sells the team. I think it might have been, wasn't Huizinga. Maybe Huizinga he ties into the Phoenix Open, which is the southwest corner of the Four Corners, which is 69. Him Huizinga is also, I'm paying a beauty shop for him Huizinga. I can't remember if Huizinga sold the team or what. But so he makes the deal with Bud Selig and John Henry of the Red Sox to move the Expos, Montreal, to Washington, the National. And then with the money, he buys the MarLIns. So, it ties into that being John Malkovich, which happens to be the day the Victoria's Secret Angel show airs this year. So it seems to be the planetary alignment going on. So then, he's one of, oh yeah, what I was going into. So, the Jews got played. They're going to use that, their greed. They're going to teach lessons. They're going to teach lessons, no doubt about it, about this obsession with their love of Jesus as a no-limit charge card license to kill, and poachers and revolutions and all that. They're going to try to teach it all. But actuality, the greed's going to kill. It's because my sister was, when my sister was adopted by, and then it totally brainwashed our blood. And when it brainwashed our blood, it brainwashed the Jews and Catholics and put them in the slaughterhouse. And so they started thinking like adopted children, bastards. Where you get into the whole, family is not that important, a mentality. Cash is king, material girls. So then you've got, this was over like 15, 20 years. This was obviously, and there were certain things that they were using the pharmaceutical industry and the medical industry. They were using the law. They were using the government. They were using, that's why you've got all these people from certain parts of it. Yeah, so the individualism, right? Because the whole motive was chop off the foot of Louisiana, amputate it. They wanted the Blade Runner replica. So I got Han Solo, Harrison Ford. So yeah, they wanted the Blade Runner replica. Chop off the foot. That way it kills or it castrates Italy, which it did. They're broke now. There's no real leadership there. And they're all having to play the political party game. Because when they sold their soul from us, their only gods were the political system. So they were basically slaves to the system. And then that slowly brainwashed through transcendent events and things like that. But it worked. So now that's where the JeffLoria comes in. He's from New York. Arthur Mont Blanc. My Mont Blanc here. That's the whole picture here. It's not very Mont Blanc. It's been written on charge accounts, house accounts, Home Depot. So yeah, Arthur Mont Blanc in Atlanta. And Blazers, the Crowns, and then the whole Holly Weirdos, who all they had to do was open the door, get me in there. You know, they could have years ago, but they missed the window of opportunity, which was Ben and Jerry's. Ben and Jerry's was when they screwed up. And good or bad, who knows? You know, they could have, it would have been the economic, so I could have escaped to a certain level. Then you had the economic downturn. So it could have happened either way. They're always trying, it seems like, they're always trying to not alienate some major faction with my escape. And so they're threats of these major actions. That's why we're at such a high peak right now. If I escape, there's obviously going to be a drop-off. I've been predicting it for years. I keep going up and up and up, way overvalued market. So if I escape and it drops off, it looks like my escape caused that. So then it's jinx. And that's why we've been in a war that's 10 or 12 years over now. Shows how roid rage crazy this is. Yeah, it's just insane. I mean, out of their mind, insane is what it is. They look like crazy. I mean, it's got to. The world's got to be saying, what are these crazy people doing? But there's a reason behind it. Is because the House of Cards kept getting so bigger and bigger. It was the blood doping. They were using, when they plugged my sister and me into these schemes, the blood doping creates this crazy infallibility that we're never allowed to use. And so the infallibility was plugged into the system as this God. So they tried to act like that, these gods. And the only way that they could get respect was desecrating me. That's why I'm in the Lod Cook Sweat Lodge. Uncool Beastie Boys licensed to ill white zombie, black hole sun, uncool, because I had to transfer into the Senate Dope Lab. So who has to be the coolest? Who's the head of the who are the gods of the political system? Politicians. So the political system has been turned into gods because we were thrown the Smoothie King joke, the regicide Smoothie King joke, or Hamburger Planet, where they killed me by parasites, is what it really really is. They just chop. It's a Grand Theft Auto chop shop. And they just laundered the money. So, Art Basel. What was I going to talk about? Writer's block. Yeah, I'll go into that. About how horrifically I am mismanaged. I have got, I have actually, my writer's block, I am literally stopped. Anytime I start to write, most people when they're creative, they want me to fail. They do not want me to finish. Because the least credible I am, they look at, then that's saving them for screwing me or not rescuing me or not helping me. Because if I turn out to be somebody significant, they look like a bunch of fucking morons for marrying me, especially since I'm so vocal and all over the web. So they're betting all this time. That's why they got to sell their soul to the dope pushers and the pimps in order to try to bury me. And so now that the dope pushers and the pimps are running the show and their muscles pushing around, then yeah, they've sold their soul to the dope pushers and the pimps to bury me. And they're just a bunch of tricks now. They're gonna get fucked forever. They're permanent sex slaves, and it's smartly done in the Matrix. Yeah, pretty much that's what's going on. They sold their soul to the dope pushers and the tricks. I mean, in the pimps, and the only way they can validate that, and that's because, yeah, so the blood's being massacred. My estate, the blood bank. BLM St. Mark's Revenge. So my blood bank is being massacred in order to be converted to class warfare because of the prevalence of degrees. That what they did was they stole all my money and they bribed enough people with these scholarship funds. Worst investment ever. I get nothing in return for these scholarships. Billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars of upgrade value, and I get nothing. Nothing. And so I actually get beaten because they're so proud they have to accept me. Because I'm a lower rank than them, so they are not, humility. They got to make humble or whatever. Humble oil. So, oh yeah, writer's block. So I got no help at all. I could really use some feedback, advice, or something, or anything to try to So I get stuck in these ruts, and they know it, and it's why I've been just stuck. I can't afford to hire people, and I've got to try to go out and hustle. Now, this was all empathetic. So all these rep posers, the lube ed rep posers, as I call them, lube rep posers, and they're max. They had to make me empathetic, so they wasted my entire prime life to make me understand their plight while there was a revolution going on and a bank robbery, which was bribing people with these scholarships, which is the worst investment ever. Deemed volunteerism. It's a bank robbery, hostage. They're just laundering the money. It's a chop shop, nothing more. I mean, they're on a bunch of dope, so look, they got all these make-believe fantasy because they think they can hide the truth for eternity. That's why they're attacked. That's why we're on the verge of world war. So, zero help. No editors. No inspiration. No feedback. No anything really. And my balance, like I said earlier, is way out. So if something bad happens, most normal people have something to try to keep things balanced. My balance is gone. They want me to self-destruct. They want me to, I've been driven mad as he was. These crazies, these insane fucking people that are allowed to control my life as a slave, and they're going to use their slave like they see fit as reverent. They're playing both sides here. It's the old style joke. This is the last hurrah for slavery, which is one of the dumbest fucking things in history. because they really need to prepare. Their preparation is attack, attack, attack. NASCAR is God Almighty. Cowboy brand up, you know. Trash the fucking planet. Just a bunch of plastic shit trash everywhere. That's their preparation. While the blood bank is looted for these dope heads, pimps, and pushers that are running the show. So yeah, their preparation, rather than the duality of me being reverent for the slavery and the past, as a beauty shop for the White House while I'm going down on anything and everything for their Cuban revenge because they fucking hate math. They're a bunch of fucking illiterates that can't count. They think the bears and the bulls are evil. It's really called plus and minus, debit and credit, micro, macro, banking and accounting, money and banking. No, we don't want that. We don't like math. Fuck no, math is evil. Let's lynch them. We want Lynchburg lemonade. Sugar, sugar, sugar. Well, they had to chop my foot off, or chop off Louisiana. So, yeah, no balance at all. Got no real correct. It's always playing with stupid games, which I am so tired of, which is revenge, because they put me in the public sector because they never taught me anything. They wanted me to read the fucking signs for their Jedi mind alien ET communications. So yeah, they get the Reservations casino, which I got massive attack for because that's out of my league. So they beat the ever living shit out of me. I've never been able to afford to go play there or anything like that. So it's actually become a detriment. They got to make every string. They rebuttal reverse it. That's a wrestling move. 101. The sleeper chokehold. Reverse and rebuttal everything. So any string is a disease, and they will literally use the medicine. That's why you got a fraud lord doctor in the charge of this. So they've turned the victim into disease, and they've turned the law into the outlaw, because you've got frauds that kidnapped and mutated and brainwashed and programmed, because that's how they went so far overboard on these valuations, it was out of this world. So yeah, Miami, and this is probably dealing with Cuba, and they're gonna want, they always have to they're trying to justify this. So they're gonna bankrupt entire Latin America, bankrupt all of Europe because of Cuba, because they sabotaged Louisiana for revenge, because they fucking are illiterates who worship diplomas that can't count with their magic Jesus bullshit Stafford loans math variables. The creators, that's why it's Art Basel, because they're creators. They can't fucking out. They can't count. They use these magic Jurassic Park gene splice X-Men mutant superhero dope heads. Nothing more than a bunch of dope heads. A bunch of rich dope heads with a ton of lawyers who pay their dope dealers tons of money to kidnap their dope supplier. It's like True Romance. You know, they got a big score. I'm their big dope score, you know. They can use me and plug me in for a ton of different dope. I make dope magic, you know. It's blood, it's like my blood or whatever. The heart share, you know. It's like when Hunter S. Thompson talked about chewing on an adrenal gland. I just feel the fire. So yeah, that's all it is. That's nothing more. So, but it's revenge for Cuba, of course. How dare they talk about math or responsible? Yeah, go look at the balance sheet these days and see. I mean, regardless, they're crazy over in Russia. Really. I'm not that far. I'm more the balanced. I have actually a more balanced opinion, more European. That's why I'm trying to defend Europe, because I see Europe as the balance. You got a bunch of fucking crazies. Europe is like the balanced bridge between the East and the West. The West being these psycho, nut job, granola crazies, and then the East being the big, they kind of lost. And so Europe being pulled apart, and I'm trying, because they did not want to build a bridge with me, because they had to have revenge. Probably why there's a character Victoria on Revenge, and Emily Thorne, and it takes place on the Hamptons. So they're trying to justify this as they're not real capitalists. They are communists. They're Playboy casino communists. The party people. So yeah, it's bizarre. So yeah, writer's block, terrible. No, and not to mention that I wanted to use art was going to be credibility first of all. I was trying to create an art trademark credibility, and also it was going to be a way to launch my business career. I always thought this. I always wanted to get into the art business, the business side of it, but I was sabotaged because I was not allowed to succeed. So I was sabotaged and handicapped because I was used in other methods. So, let me see. I feel you. What's going on now is this goes back to, so SCAD is at Art Basel, Miami. I actually got a Miami MarLIns wallet that I bought because my confirmation gift, me being a stupid kid, I admit I was a stupid kid. I got a 22 Marlin for my confirmation present for my father. Right. And I didn't take very good care of it, just like I didn't take very good care of any of my guns, because I had ADHD that was never treated. Even now, they were trying, and these crazy, stupid fucks that are in control are still trying to prove themselves right by training me to take my time. They give me nothing. That's one of the obvious reasons. These fucking crazy kidnappers saving themselves to prove they're trying to naturally cure it. They're like those fucking crazy Jesus freaks who won't give their kids medicine while they are forcing me to be misdiagnosed to handicap me on the other side. So they're like these crazy Jesus freaks that won't give their kids the medicine. It's like I need a shot of penicillin, but they wouldn't give it to me because they want to try to naturally cure it. They are never wrong, because I am their slave and they are infallible, so I am wrong. So I am tortured to be wrong. They are that crazy. So yeah, these crazy fucks that are allowed to control my life, these Jesus freaks that won't cure me, so I've got to respect. They're going to teach me respect for everything. To justify stealing all my money. That justifies distribution. That's the bling ring, the watches, the fossil watches. Bill Richardson is the head of the president of the College of Agriculture at LSU. Richardson is where Fossil, Richardson, Texas is where Fossil, and Fossil makes watches for Adidas, Armani, Michael Kors, Marc Jacobs, which is a big Marc Jacobs store here, Burberry, all kinds of people. So yeah, all that, and that just it's all this connectivity. So there's my money right there. That's the bling, that's the real bling ring. Oh yeah. And then the beauty shop, which is absolutely the dumbest thing in the world. I have actually I had friends that were gay. I had a friend growing up, or at college, we hung out together. I never knew anything until years later he came out. I was cool with it. And so I was living in New Orleans. He was living in Houston, but he was from New Orleans. And he came in town for Southern Decadence, which is a big gay festival. And he called and said, "You want to go?" And I was like, "Sure." So I went with him. Strictly, I had no problems. I ended up talking to girls most of the time. never been gay. Not ever going to be gay unless I'm raped in prison, which is probably the last-ditch effort of these crazies to trapped in the closet sort of mentality. JeffLoria, never wrong, Exxon God. Or I worked at Cafe Brazil. When I get to down, so I go to Southern Decadence, we go hang out. He has a great time, I have a good time. Then when I'm in Los Angeles after the Glacier Park, I meet up with my friend Walter, who works on movies and TV shows as an art director I used to live with, and then they're there. So we go out. We ended up going one night to like the Rainbow Room, then we went one night where we went to some gay clubs in Los Angeles. No big deal. I have no problem with it. I worked so in Dallas. I ended up moving to Dallas because I'm sure I was evicted and homeless, as usual. My entire life, evicted and homeless. So I moved to Dallas, and staying with my sister. So they're like, get a job fast. So I'm going out. I go read the Observer, and I'm applying for everything, of course. And there's a job, Cafe Brazil. I go in, interview it, and I get the job within like a week of being there and start. And it just so happens it was in the gay area of Dallas, which happens to be, well, Cedar Springs and I can't remember if it's Turtle Creek or some road, the road that runs through Highland Park and Turtle Creek, where Cedar Springs was right there on the air. It was right in between where the gay area and Turtle Creek, which is the super wealthy area of Dallas. And so I'm managing at the night shift. I come in at like 9 or 10 at night, and I work until like 7 in the morning. And it's surrounded by gay nightclubs, which I have no problem with. So I actually have no problem at all. I worked there for like 6 or 8 months. I ended up losing the job when I approached the owner. He had 5 other locations, and I wanted to open up another location. So I came with a business plan. Said, look, this is what I'd like to do because I wasn't happy with where things were going, and I felt like I had to try to accomplish something. I was trying to start businesses. This was all about the time when Mark Cuban bought the Mavericks when I was there. And, yeah, so I ended up, he ended up saying no. He promoted another girl ahead of me, general manager, and so I ended up, I can't remember if I got fired or if I quit or something. I don't know. So, I ended up being, that was when I went through that story. But so, yeah, my relationship, I've been very, I had a lot of gay friends. I used to go to the Village on straight night. I was I had a lot of girlfriends, but we hung out a lot. I hung out with a lot, I had like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 girlfriends, and we used to hang out a lot and go to the movies or go to the bars or whatever. And, which was fine, no problem at all. I was painting a lot. It was not a bad time until I totally ran out of money and got evicted. My typical pattern. I admit, I'm not great at the survival of the pauper game, which has been my life. Survival as a low-level pauper, no pride, humility. I'm not great at it. The whole who I've always thought I was, and this is trying. I honestly think they're going to try to justify ruining my entire life, this whole tortured life, as look, you were fucking crazy because they were stealing so many cars. This is a Grand Theft Auto, straight up chop shop. This is Grand Theft Auto bank robbery. And these were alarms, or they were trying the BLM credibility for me to manage the land. They wanted to kill me and steal all the assets. So they're going to because they took control, and they're declaring world war out of necessity to save their asses from stealing so much that they're going to try to justify. They've always got an in-game justification. Just like the Jews were greedy. They're going to teach that lesson. They're going to teach the Jews about Jesus and hell and heaven also. I've already seen those. And so, yeah. And then they're going to try to say, well, shining those lights was bad because he died because of too much pride, or the infectious disease which killed me because I was shrunk, smurf, unable to grow up because I had to be contained, was because of all these flashing lights. Sleeping Beauty, Vampire Louie, all this sorts of things. So they've got to make me pay for these lights because credibility. They want, they do not want me, they want to sabotage me. So, the beauty shop thing, which has got to haunt me being my nickname, Bird, we got to make it haunt me. So they have turned the gaze against me. So the whole makeup thing, instead of what happens was, when I get screwed by a girl, the makeup is to go fuck some other guy. So that's me paying for hookers right there. That's the beauty shop joke. Is I get screwed, and they don't make up with me. They burn their bridge with me. They give me the full moon fever and go fuck some up, but nobody, poser. So it's basically me getting screwed to pay for somebody's hooker. Tricks, as you would. That's the whole beauty shop thing. So they've got to prove, and then the fashion thing, which also ties into all of this, I'm sure. It goes into this raw value material pool. The BLM St. Bartholomew's Bank, which is a huge it's really St. Louis King of France. It's like very expensive, powerful raw material that they want. That's why they bring in creators to create their own thing. So where was I going with this whole? I feel you. So they want the whole Hunger Games is they poison everything. It's always replacement, bait and switch, replacement, fetch sort of mentality to keep me in this bubble, captive, shrunk, alone, starved, hunger, crazy, mad as you would because my stupid fucking sister named her child Mad Cobra. I don't give a fuck, I don't care. Great. Now they're trying to steal my fucking genes because Madeline ties into an old church in Paris, St. Madeline's, a very old church in Paris. But they've got to use the worst interpretation, so they're going to drive me in the mouth of madness. It's got to be H.P. Lovecraft. Because they're crazy. They always look for an angle to screw me rather than build a bridge. One of the worst mistakes in history. But hey, they're playing it up. Playing it as the lines, hardballers. Attack. So, I feel you, which is probably means, it goes back to the eye on the center of the LSU football stadium, which is not a dumb move, but since they hate everybody so much, it ties into probably Eye of the Tiger Survivor, which was the first concert I ever went to. I took my sister to. We were playing when I told you, what else was there? Eye of the Tiger Survivor, which I have been surviving for so long. I remember their Survivor show started. I thought this would be. I used to when I was a kid, I used to like to play Survivor, and it haunted me because I always thought it would be interesting. We used to go to the woods and play, and that sort of thing. Play these war games and Survivor. But now I'm so scared. I'm like a little titty baby that's scared to play that sort of mentality because of the fucking nut job beauty shop from me being a slave. So you got the Eye of the Tiger. Oh, anything the sensory, the Hunger Games sensory parasites. So the bait and switch parasites. Anything I see or look at. It's like I get a magazine, Golden Ass Traveler. So I can look at it, but it's hollow. Somebody else will go actually trap because that's a parasite. So I've got it's the brain parasite. So I got if I try to escape because I subscribe to magazines. town and country, which I like these type of people. I write books about this sort of thing. I want to keep in touch. I'm supposed to be managing lands. But no, they want to steal my assets, so they got to parasite, bait, and switch. Liv Tyler, December month, several different interpretations of that. Armageddon, most notably, and 54, which is LIV, and goes back to the 504, 513, 54, all the Studio 54, all these interpretations, because they sold their soul to their dope pusher pimps, who sold them, who now turned them into war machines to attack my global estate assets, because they refused to let me grow up. That's why I was there, or nobody else grows up, so hey, St. Bartholomew, who they fucking hate. Simpsons revenge! So I got the proactive, you gotta pay for that. Pay for everything. Alan Simpson, first of all. Which Wyoming is brown and yellow. Jessica Simpson, I definitely pay for. Baby Jessica in a well in Odessa, which actually had Bo Bridges, who is another. Bo Bridges is a being John Malkovich person. Kate Nally, Allison Smith, another being John Malkovich, same birthday as us. And she was actually married to one of the guys that's in charge of representing all the artists, writers, music, which I thought was crazy coincidence. So the Simpsons I paid for, almost definitely, without a doubt. So we look like a bunch of fools. Bart Simpson, St. Bartholomew's is a luxury, super exclusive resort because we are supposed to manage assets, but they want to chop, shop, steal, and rebrand. They want the wild, no fences, wide open spaces life so they can hunt the big game. And the big game's stupid. They're partying right now. They sold their soul to their fucking dope pushers and pimps. You know, these crazy girls have a problem. Goes back to Jackson and Aspen. I mean, they really have a problem. There's a place called Escobar's there, which is actually probably tied into Pablo Escobar PE because of this crazy rank scheme where they all want to be higher than me, high as a kite. So that justifies it there. And they are high as a cat kite. Oh, show. And then I got this nice thing. Durant Street is big in Aspen, where the base of the mountain is. Age of Louis XIV, the Sun King Trust. So it's Sun Trust. Sun King, Louis XIV. And it happens to be Eric Basel 2014. So I'm proving it's $4. Oh, and the funny part is, this goes into the Jessica Simpson Revenge, Girl Scouts Revenge. So I got this book right across the street. It's called Reinvented. A guy named Charlie Brown from New Mexico. Nice guy. It's a great little store. $4. What a big deal on a good old book. It is. I actually read a bunch of it already. Very interesting. What was going on between the years of 1648, 1750. And they hate that because it's actually older than the entire country. And they worship the system. So when I got rescued in San Angelo, I worked at a place called Bailey, which was owned by, it was a big military place. I remember because we watched when George Bush landed on the aircraft carrier. I was a bartender at Bailey's. I arrived into town, talked my mother into letting me stay in the guest house because she had thrown me out. I'd lived on the street for 2 weeks in Dallas. This was after I got booted from New Orleans. I got evicted, then lived 2 weeks in the woods in Mississippi. Then ended up driving to Dallas, staying in their $1 million high-rise Mayfair Witches is Anna Rice. So Sleeping Beauty here, the claiming of Sleeping Beauty. So they're living in the Mayfair condominium, the Mayfair being one of Anna Rice's, or Vampire Louis from Brad Pitt, all this sort of stuff. So they throw me out into the streets because after I said it was like $50. So I'm sleeping in my car. I remember listening because this was the year of Syracuse. I remember listening. I was sleeping in a park, um, listening to. I actually used to go to the place I used to work and get chips because I worked. It was a Turtle Creek condominium, about 3 or 4 blocks from where I had managed this Cafe Brazil. So they were going back to San Angelo. They're like, you can't stay here. So they just said, here's $50 or what, $100. I can't remember. I think it was 100, 150 or something maybe. Because I think I was getting a hotel every third or fourth night. A cheap hotel, and gas was not that expensive. So yeah, I remember because I would go to Cafe Brazil because I used to eat a lot of chips and hot sauce there. I could sit there on the patio and eat chips and hot sauce all night for real cheap. And I knew this guy Richard, who was a drag queen, who used to work at Walmart, nice guy, was working there. And I knew him from way back. He used to come hang out there all the time. He was a drag queen, big black guy, African American, really nice. We hung out. We got along great. And so he was way. I thought, wow, that's kind of interesting. I really interesting. So I used my mother throws me out of this Mayfair condo. It was like the 25th floor, and so I stay in town for like 2 weeks in the Dallas. Had nowhere to go. Didn't really have any money. I think I called my dad, got him to wire me $100, and I don't remember how I ended up, but I ended up just deciding I was almost out of money. I'd been there 2 weeks. I just drove to San Angelo. And luckily, I got a hotel in San Angelo because my dad wired me some money. And there was a job opening at Bailey's. And so I ended up getting the job. Miracle. So I go to my mother, and I'm like, I was sleeping in the car and sleeping, and so I get this job bartending at Bailey's, which was a miracle. And so it was a military bar. The owner, his wife, Jewel, nice people, were military family. And so I was there a while. I met a few people. I had a good time. My mother ended up letting me move into the guest house. Saved my life, probably. Otherwise, I would probably might have died. But very, very possible. And so I worked there for a while, and I don't remember what happened. I wasn't that great with the drinks. I was kind of slow on a lot of these shots. I didn't know all these. There was, every region has a certain amount of shots, the type of shots. So there was a girl named Jessica who was very pretty. She was dating, when I first got there, she was dating a minor league baseball player. And we hung out, and she was nice. And I got along. I had a friend who was a musician there. We hung out. We used to go out, hang out, and met a few of the other people. And then we ended up, there was a few other girls. We ended up, like, some people that had, like, a boat on the lake. We went out there for all-night partying. It was kind of a fun time. And so this girl, Jessica, I ended up asking her out. And I was like, let's go. I used to go wash clothes across, and my mother wouldn't let me in the main house, master house. So I'd go, there was a washateria across the street from the bar, and I would drive over there, and then while I was washing clothes, I'd walk over to the bar and have a beer, Lone Star beer. So I ended up, this girl, Jen, I was like, let's go play tennis one day and hang out. And you come, I had a swimming pool. I was living in the guest house, and you can come swimming out there. So I call her a day we're supposed to go nowhere, and I had been fired by then. And so, I called her 3 times, no answer. She was from Wall. So, seemed to haunt me. This was the Jessica Simpson nightmare. Baby Jessica as well, I guess she was. So the other day, I go to the store, and I'm talking to this girl, I'm like, nowadays, it's always me, the whole empathetic, it's always business now for me to try to angle my way in because the sand gnat charms are gone. You know, now it's got to be me playing the angles, you know, to be empathetic to all the people who stole the body snatchers identity thefts who stole my life. So I meet this girl, Bailey. I had to go, who's from Florida, right across from the Girl Scout house. And I was like, well, look, let's talk. I'm going to start a Kickstarter plan, and I could really use some advice from somebody. You are the potential target market for this. So let's talk. You know, you could possibly make some money. So she gives me a card and writes me down, and I text her, no word back. Typical. So this is just a typical story of how screwy things work. So feeling, so it's always parasites and sensory. So now it's gonna be living in this dream state of reality. So feel. So now it's always like they're trying. It's like anything I touch. So first of all, it was the beauty. This all goes back to this ranking thing, the ranks. These crazy people are going to try to outrank me, and they're high as a cat kite. Jack and the Beanstalk cloud sort of mentality. So the JVV discrepancy and the JW Pepper joke. And so they're always got to try to, and they've got the infectious disease, and they've got to try to brand it into me and sort of sell. That's what happened, and my entire life has been ruined to try to create this disease to handicap me and shrink me down so they can steal all the assets. And I think this was supposed to be their big coming out of the closet party, the Communist Revolution party in Miami, as far as revenge for the Cubans. I think that might probably is why there's the Crimea River, Crimea invasion in Ukraine. Possible, very, very possible. So it's always these sensory parasites because of the view and the voice. So the view, anything I see, somewhat parasite takes my place. Voice, anything I'm not allowed to talk, so they ignore me. That's one of the reasons why they run the full moon fever. Ignore me. That's the Chris Jackson cabin fever, and I don't mean to demean. These are. I'm just stating a fact. I am an interpreter. I'm interpreting criminal psychology of what goes on in my life from very different angles, many different levels and many different angles. I don't mean to be demeaning. I am furious because I have no balance mechanism at all. So, yeah, the voice and the view, V. So that's above me. So anything, there's always this kidnapper, terrorist discrepancy. Dungeon Master rules. And the Dungeon Master will actually inflict upon me to make it seem real. That sort of crazy torture. No matter if it wastes 6 months of my life. Because I paid billions of dollars for this stupid fucking game. So yeah, the gay mafia, traders, the beauty shop, makeup. So anytime I get slighted by a girl, some other lucky fella gets a free tricks on me. They make up for some poser. Gets a free tricks on me, so that's me paying for the hookers. The Sugar Bowl, right across the street, the Savannah Smiles, and I frown on Sugar Bowl for the Girl Scouts on Lafayette Square, which is right across from Hamilton Turner House. This is probably the Atlanta Thrashers, Bo Turner, Revenge, Bozo Thrashing, right next to the Lafayette Square. Got it. And this reinvented was right next door to the Juliet Lowe Girl Scout. And I haven't gone back in. I haven't followed it up. These people are robot puppets. She doesn't have a clue what's going on in the big picture. But they are set. And that's one of the reasons they had to waste most of my life. So I would be rejected out in the wild. So then, therefore, it's validated. This validates the whole scam. So once they do the dirt, that's them doing the dirty work, while the pink revolution is raging. Smart. So yeah, I feel you. Art Basel, Miami. So it's probably another sensory deprivation parasite. then now, and what that does is it transfers the value within me into this whole pool. For then these creators, when they create, it's a game show, sure, but I sponsor. It's the worst fucking investment in the history of the world. It's like the Running Man or something like that, or Idiocracy. I mean, it's terrible, stupid to gamble on, hanging me on a wall rather than they could have easily built a bridge, but the infectious disease stuck, and so when the mob was stalking me from Baton Rouge to Jackson to Crested Butte to Asheville, where it was obvious. I don't know who talked to that girl. I don't remember, it was a website, I ended up finding a place to live in Jackson. My mother suggested Asheville. Like, why don't you go to Asheville and try there? It's an artist place. Sure, it was a trap. Ambush. So this girl from Dallas who lived with a guy who was from Alabama was a DJ. Nice guy. And I got along great. When I first got there, we were like, oh yeah, we were cool. Because they were very much into the same sort of, I had a huge library that was all stuff that I could talk about, beatniks, hippies, rave, rock and roll, anything. So we talked, the first few nights I was there, we talked and talked and talked. It was great. And then all of a sudden they went cold. I don't know who it was got to them, but they turned and went cold like that. And so it was either, I don't know what side, somebody turned. So I wasn't sure but what it was. So then she was like, you got to move out. My mom ambushed me. And so then I ended up, she was like, you need to go stay in this place. I was like, fuck that. So I pawned my computer, which was the best thing I ever bought myself. When I was in Jackson, I actually had money. I bought a computer for like $700. First time I'd had a computer in a long time. I had internet, still out on it. So I had to pawn this computer to escape. Got like $300 for it at a pawn shop. Bought a bus ticket to Aspen. When I got there, then I had to call my dad again. Can you wire me some money? Luckily, got a job when I got there. And got lucky again. Could have died there too. Wow, I have been lucky. Very, very easily could be a homeless bum, probably dead. Got saved on several occasions. I just got tired of playing the game, so I just started belly flopping. Rather than hustling, they want me to go out and hustle. They love to see me out pounding the pavement, hustling. They think that's fucking funny. The beggar, Daniel Craigslist, one ad's beggar. Only know when somebody wants me. That's been my entire life, is going out and filling out stupid fucking applications. I probably filled out 500 to 1,000 applications in my life in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, mostly. And so they had to get me back. It was stupid because worthless friends. I was always the outsider from S.E. Hinton. Probably Karate Kid caught them there. So, the sensory parasites, Art and Basel, alpha betas, trilambids, who I think are working together like trading places. Louis Winthorpe, it's the replacement Louis, and the Billy Ray Valentine, iHeartRadio, organ theft and racket. So the gays turned their back on scrutiny, but they probably could have, they can justify that because of the animosity of gays towards, and like I said, I had friends that were I've worked with people from probably 75 different countries over the years. It doesn't bother me, it never has. I've always been able to get along with people from all sorts of different cultures. I mean, probably 75 different countries. But I've horribly, horribly mismanaged in order to be put into precarious predicaments. It's like living with a Muslim right now. Doesn't bother me at all. We get along okay. I can't afford to go. I mean, it's one reason that it's probably good that I don't have the money to go out and party, because if we were out on the town partying together, it would look a lot worse. So justifies me being poor. That's sort of crazy, even though it's. I mean, I should be living. It's terrible, 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 stupid waste of time to not be building bridges here in town because they want me to get out and hustle. It's a stupid hustle game, bet your life, death of a salesman, crazy, stupid peddler hustle thing. Doesn't make any sense. So yeah, Parasite, Hunger Games, bait and switch. What it really is, though, is it's like they'll take, it's like $1 billion. So they grab a big chunk of cheddar, like an Avatar. Shot me down. They timber me. They get a big chunk of that Avatar cheddar. It was unobtainium, which is a ton of cash. Good cash. It's a cash is king. Material girl world. We can buy anything. Any Ferrari, any skirt, any Lamborghini. Buy it, buy it, buy it. Somebody can. It doesn't matter. It's part of the game, part of the herd. The swarm, overwhelmed, locusts. And so, yeah, the cheddar. They get a big chunk of cheddar from this $1 billion. Then the beehive, as you would, then fights over who's the best. So it's competition. But I'm paying for this $1 billion chunk of cheddar because I can't do anything about it. No fences. Wayne's World, Garth. And so, yeah, you got this big chunk of cheddar, and I can't do anything about it because of no fences. That's what it's all about. So, Art Basel. Happy Art Basel. Southern hospitality. Beauty shop. Yeah. Fashion. All that sort of thing. Fashion designers. Jewelry designers. It's just raw value and validation. And then they utilize the contestants, and it's a very credible entity. They've always got to. That's why I am surrounded by very, not very. That's one of the reasons. The whole bait and switch trading places. They got to dirty me up while they look really good. So they're surrounded. That's why they're surrounded by very, very credible entities. But I am surrounded by pissant paupers begging for crumbs, fighting in the trenches. So I am not very credible. That's the whole bait and switch thing. And I had no animosity towards it. I haven't got any help at all. Zero help. I mean, my entire career devoted to working in this industry has been a terrible waste of time. It's a big joke. Everything I do is always a waste of time. Wrong. I'm always wrong. I'm totally fallible, while the blood I give is totally infallible. That's the whole bait and switch trading places. So yeah, they get to surround themselves with credibility. They build bridges. Then I am tarnished in the trenches and infallible. And then the whole sort of bait and switch sort of thing goes on. So happy Art Basel. Happy birthday! Next week at Art Basel, well, I'll be here in Savannah doing nothing. Alone? Probably. Yeah, I doubt I can afford to go out on my birthday. And I really don't, and I don't really want to go out with my parents. That's how fucking crazy, stupid this whole uncool thing is, you know. Just, it's the sweat lodge and the liquefied natural gas, and so somebody else is really cool. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. It's like Lester Bang's Addiction, the poppy fields, like this shit. Yeah, it's absolutely the Hunger Games poppy fields. He wasn't Lester Bangs in there. Uncool at all. Almost famous his gospel from these people. So I think that's it.